Welcome to Women of Wellness with Brescia Taylor, a podcast dedicated to nurturing the mind, body, and soul. This is a space where we dive into the heart of women's well-being, exploring the physical, emotional, and mental aspects of health that not only shape women's lives, but ripple out to touch everyone around them. Because here's the truth. When women thrive, families grow stronger, communities flourish, and the world changes for the better. Women's wellness isn't just a woman's issue, it's a human issue. And in order to start creating real change, we all need to understand the unique challenges women face and how we can support each other in meaningful ways. Join me, Brescia Taylor, each week as we unpack powerful insights, share inspiring stories, and learn practical tools to empower women to live their fullest, healthiest lives. Together, let's break down barriers, redefine wellness, and create a world where women's health is prioritized, not just for their benefit, but for everyone's. So whether you're a woman on your own wellness journey or someone who wants to better support the women in your life, this podcast is for you. Let's create change together. Hi, we have Dr. Ginger Bowler here. Ginger is a native of New Orleans, Louisiana, who now lives and works in Colorado. She's been working in natural healing arts for 36 years as a practitioner and an instructor, and is one of the creators of the Let's Light Therapy certification course. She is the protégé of the renowned healer and master herbalist, Hanna Kroeger, ND. Ginger earned her doctorate in energy medicine from Holos University Graduate Seminary in Missouri, where she did her doctoral work on Hanna Kroeger's teachings. In addition to teaching Hanna Kroeger's work, she has written books and taught Biogenesis, quantum biofeedback certification, Photobiomodulation light therapy certification programs, and understanding energy courses. So, hi, Ginger. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Bree. Hi, everyone. It is my favorite thing to talk about this topic, understanding energy, light therapy, and all of it.
So how Ginger and I met was during COVID, actually, when my businesses for InfraSculpt and my light therapy body contouring was closed down. And I started a business with vaginal rejuvenation wands using red light and blue light. And I was really adamant about seeking out an education program to make sure that I was properly informed and really educating the clients very well. And so Ginger and I linked up and we started to work together on that. And then as COVID started to lift, we started to talk about InfraSculpt and the amazing treatments that I was doing and licensing and opening locations. And so that's how we came to be. So, Ginger, for those that are unfamiliar, how would you define energy medicine?
The natural healing arts using some intervention like photobiomodulation or light therapy, biofeedback, herbs, homeopathics, it's really the natural healing arts on steroids.
So, can you share a bit about your journey in energy medicine and what led you to this field?
Sure. I'm the ninth of 18 children, and my entire childhood, one of the things that I thought about the most was how much I loved my family and how worried I was if anybody would get sick. And I remember as a little child hearing New Orleans is the cancer capital of the world. Well, I don't think that's ever been the truth, but I remember being terrified of sickness and just wanting to understand or find somebody who knew something about something and could could help us to not be sick. I developed stomach problems as a child, and I quickly learned that the allopathic medicine, just traditional medicine at the time, it's evolved a lot, that they weren't going to be able to help me because they thought I was a hypochondriac. And my stomach problems were real. I was not making it up. Were my emotions affecting it? Sure, I'm sure it was, like anything else. But the terrible cramping stomach problems were very real. And so one thing led to another. I was just on a big journey, and my high school, a friend in high school's father took me to my first chiropractor's appointment. And at the time, chiropractics were illegal in Louisiana. So we had to sneak into his building. And he worked on me, and he told me that a solution for my stomach problem would be to drink Welch's unsweetened grape juice at room temperature. I just had some today, as a matter of fact. Um, and it worked. But I also, at that time, along the way, I had started reading Edgar Cayce's books, The Sleeping Prophet, and he had a lot of natural healing methods, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when I was in my teens. Then, I went to undergraduate school, and I forgot about any need to heal my body or do anything like that. And, I still always was dabbling in it. But fast forward till I was 36 years old, and again, still living in New Orleans, and my niece got sick. And that's when I met my lifelong teacher, Hanna Kroeger. She was from Boulder, Colorado. She came down to do a seminar for us in New Orleans. She took one look at my little niece who had tumors all over her body, tumor-like cysts all over her body. And, supposedly she was going to die from this condition that nobody knew exactly what it was. But she was 4 years old, and her twin did not have this condition. And Hannah took one look at her and told us what to do homeopathically. And immediately, within the first couple of weeks, the tumors started to shrink. And now that was 36 years ago. And she's a beautiful young woman living in New York and healthy. And it put me on my path. I met Hannah at that time. And right before then, though, honestly, I had made a bargain with God. And I don't know if this is cool to talk about this right now, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Okay. But, okay, I have to do this. So here we go. I'm pointing to the light. So whatever name we call the great light, the source of everything, I'm going to point backwards. There we go. Everything that we're doing in the holistic field, the energy medicine field, the natural healing arts, or to just have a better life, period, is in order to stay in the light. At the time before meeting Hannah, I had been raised in a religious family, not overly religious. We were raised Catholic, and it was a lovely upbringing. I didn't have any issue with my upbringing, but as a 30-something-year-old single woman living in New Orleans, I wasn't thinking about God, divinity, the light, or anything else. I was thinking about partying and having a good time. Okay. So right before meeting Hannah, though, but my niece was dying. So I needed a miracle. And so I said a prayer. And I remember the moment that I said, God, I hope you know who I am, because you might not, because I never even think about you. I never talk to you except when I need something. And I make you promises that I never keep. I say, give me the car, I'll stop cursing. Give me the, new relationship, I'll put $10 in the poor box. I have never kept my word, and you've given me many things. So there's no reason that you should believe what I'm about to tell you. And that is, if you heal my niece, I will do your work. And this time, I'm going to keep my word. And that's 3 weeks later is when I met Hanna. And I've been doing the work ever since. So that's really what put me on the path. Now, how did I actually get the doctorate in energy medicine is because I ended up traveling with Hanna, studying with Hanna, traveling with Hanna. She was an elderly German missionary minister woman that was able to, she was a master herbalist, a homeopath. She could see, sense, and feel the energies. She was a great metaphysician. And so I ended up traveling with her, doing my doctoral work on her work. And when she died, actually, I took over her teaching schedule here in Boulder, Colorado. That's why I'm in Boulder. And then after she died is when I went to graduate school after she died, because
Interesting.
we had 600 students registered to come over to in the summer to her retreat, but then she died on May 7th. And it's like, okay, now what? So I took over doing the teachings, and then I invited some other co-teachers. But at some point I felt like, okay, I've taught them everything that I know, so I got to go get a little smarter and try to stay one step ahead of the students. And so I went to graduate school.
And so did that lead you to the book that you wrote on what is behind you, above the line, below the line?
Yeah, so this is my understanding energy model, and my book's called Listening and Communicating with Energy. And the book is, and if you let's see, I can share my screen so I can show you what it actually looks like. Oh no, I thought I had it up there. I don't. Never mind. So the book is about me chasing healers around the planet, trying to understand what they understood and that I didn't understand, but mostly about my relationship with Hanna and watching her and learning from her. And it was because of the way that she would teach. She had a little German accent. She was like, "Oh, that is high vibration," and that meant, that high vibration meant that she'd smile, and that I knew that meant that was good. And then if something she didn't like, she'd go, "Oh, that has no vibration, on very low vibration," and I knew that that wasn't good. So in my mind, I started to have this. Okay, well, there must be this line, and above the line, those are good things, and below the line, that's not the good stuff. So I was really struggling to understand energy. I didn't really even have that word for it exactly to understand Hanna and what she was talking about, and I eventually understood. Oh, she's talking about energy, and high vibration, frequency, all of these things was foreign to me in 1988 and 89, and things before most of you all were born. But so that's sort of how this came about, the understanding energy model. But in reality, and you might have to edit this part out, but I was struggling so much to understand energy and what Hanna meant by all these terms for years, and kind of conceptualizing this above the line, below the line, that I literally heard the voice of what I say with my angels say to me, if you want to understand energy, go get a piece of paper and pencil and write this down. And they gave me the 16 rules for understanding energy and this model in one sitting, and it has never changed, none of it, not one word of it. And I've been teaching it for 30-something years now across the planet, but mostly in the United States. And I've never had anybody say that is not accurate. I mean, scientists and stuff who know quantum physics, they're like, wow, that is a really simple way to understand energy.
So you brought it down to simplify it for people.
Well, I do think that is what my mission in life is to take complicated subjects in the field of understanding energy or energy medicine or natural healings and the natural healing arts, and make them simple for people to understand and to use.
So from there, what inspired you then to move on to create and get into light therapy and create the Let's Light Therapy course?
Well, I was running an academy for biofeedback at Hanna's retreat center in Boulder. And quantum biofeedback in and of itself is amazing. And so some of my friends were getting into light therapy and wanting me to, do it. I felt like I did not need another expensive toy. So at the time, we were all using this wasn't, as you know, Infrasculpt time. right? This was using a pad-based system, which I still use today. I use the Inlight system. There are many pad-based systems, and we like everything that helps you do too. Help, a person have a better life. So light's good for us, but that is what I use. And one thing led to another, and then one of my colleagues had a light therapy system that she was trying to sell me, but no. But in my event center, she was having speakers come in to talk about light therapy. And then when we weren't doing events, she wasn't doing events. She was having clients come in asking for the anti-aging program. And I was interested in that. And so one day when nobody was in the office, I snuck over to her cubicle. She told me I could use her light therapy device. Put the face mask on my throat for turkey neck. And the session lasted 20 minutes. The lights went off. I went and looked in the mirror, couldn't really tell anything. And got in my car, driving to Whole Foods for lunch. A song comes on the radio and I started singing. And I had not been able to sing a note for 2 years. And I thought,
Wow.
what did I eat today? Because what you eat or drink, I couldn't think of anything different. What did I drink today? Because that can affect your singing voice. And I couldn't think of anything. And I thought about the light therapy, but that was even though I've seen miracles in the field of natural healing, that was really too much of a stretch for me. So for 4.5 days, I could sing. And on the afternoon of that, 5th day, the grovel came back in my voice. The notes wouldn't connect. And I've never been a soloist. It wasn't that. I wanted to be able to sing my family happy birthday, or sing to the kids, Santa Claus is coming to town. And it wasn't a big request, but singing has always been really important to me and to my birth, family of birth. We're always singing. And so I went back to the office and put the face mask, the lights back on my throat, and I've been able to sing ever since. So for everybody, it's different. Not everybody, it's about singing. Most people come to us because they have some kind of pain, inflammation, traumatic brain, something going on in the brain, the head, cognitive decline, neuropathy, many things like that, things that are not working in the body. But for me, it was something as simple as it brought back my singing voice.
That's amazing. Well, and so, I mean, with people that come to you, or come to us, I should say, even, they're already on some medications and they're doing other things. So how do you see light therapy sort of complementing traditional medical treatments? Like, how can they marry together?
Hanna told us all those years ago that one of our jobs in this time would be for the holistic practitioners, and she said it would be the nurses in the medical field, which I think by and large it is. That it was our job to bring everything together. So, since I've been in the field for 36 years or 37 years, I can tell you that what's happened even in the since the pandemic, for the openness of self-care, I really don't get hardly any pushback anymore from people's medical doctors and blah, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, I get referrals from medical doctors, and this just happened this week, where I had someone texting me saying, my cardiologist wants to know, could you send them some, hardcore research on photobiomodulation for, heart and circulatory issues, because I told her I wanted to do that instead of all these drugs. And I was like, absolutely. But you can just go to pubmed.gov and type in heart and photobiomodulation or light therapy, and it'll come up, but I can certainly send you some links. So I see that both sides are essential. We have to have our medical teams. The hospitals, definitely. I can't fix a broken leg. I can't operate on someone's heart, but I can help them in a recovery. or prophylactically. So, before they get sick, there's so much we can do. In the field of energy medicine, one of the things, and the natural healing arts, that was kind of hard for me to get, but it didn't take me many years being in the field to understand this, that usually we are not people's first choice.
No.
They don't come to us because we're their first choice. They come to us because they have no other choices. They've run out of choices. Other things weren't working. Or for me, I couldn't take medication. They made me sick to my stomach. Pharmaceuticals just made me terribly sick when I was a little kid. I hated the way they felt in my body. Now I can take some. I hardly take anything, but I can. It doesn't have that same effect. But as a little kid, I couldn't. So I think both sides is absolutely essential. Right hand, left hand. Since the pandemic, like I said, self-care has become more on the forefront when, and light therapy is definitely in the arena of self-care because, they can, just like with the in-light system, like we each have at our locations, people can, buy those systems. And especially critical for cognitive decline and stuff where they need to have a session every day. Well, that needs to be in their house. It's not realistic that they're going to be able to go, to their practitioner every single day, even if they had the money to do that. They don't have the time or the convenience, it's just too inconvenient. So people are getting more and more aware. It's like, I know you're selling, saunas to people to have in their homes, right? Because that's part of self-care. People are becoming much more aware of, I better learn how to take care of myself and my family.
So in all of your years, I'm sure you have thousands of success stories, but is there anything that comes to mind, maybe something more recent that comes to your mind that, that you've witnessed through light therapy or energy medicine?
Well, I have the one on cognitive decline, but I'm not going to do that one first. I'm going to do the one on depression first. Okay.
Okay.
Because this just struck me at my core. This was in my Infrascope salon where a young woman had bought a package of 3 online. Okay. She came in the first day and very quiet, very, withdrawn, but very nice woman. And we did a session. And then the next time she came back, it was a Saturday morning, she stood in the doorway and she said, we greeted each other. And she said, when I came here the first time, my anxiety was up here, and she points to the sky. And now it's down here, and she points to the ground. And she said, but more important than that, I had a persistent negative thought that never stopped. It played 24/7. And she said, it's gone. And I said something like, well, that's great. She goes, Ginger, I'm not saying it's better. I'm telling you, it's gone completely. That is absolutely life-changing. If you have you're fat and ugly and nobody likes you and you can't buy playing or something like that all the time, how can you even be a sane human being? So for me, that was just too profound, and I've had so many people say, God, I used to be depressed before I started coming, from an Infrascope, but I didn't know that it was going to make me have a better mood.
What do you think it is about the light that?
Well, because it literally is shifting us from the lower, denser, darker, slower energies into the higher vibrations of light, quite literally, because we have all those bars of light and pads of light and stuff on the body, and it is quite literally flooding the system and the energy field with light, and it's raising the vibrational frequency of the person's body, mind, spirit, the whole thing. It's all connected. So that's one thing. The other more recent thing, it's not, I have 1,000 stories, but for tonight, the more recent one is not a client that I worked with personally, but that my co-teacher, Marcy Denton, worked with, and that we just finished, or Marcy just finished interviewing for one of my podcasts. So my podcast is called Let's Keep It Light. And this woman, she's totally great with us sharing her story, because she's out there in the world sharing it. But she has Alzheimer's. And they use a scoring, it's called a MOCA test, where, you're supposed to be scoring up in the 20 to 30 or something like that is in the normal range. She scored a 5. And she didn't know what year it was. She didn't know, she couldn't, really like totally dress herself or be alone. Her husband had to stop working to take care of her 63-year-old woman. She thought it was 1952. She wasn't even alive in 1952. Okay. She couldn't tell time, just things like that, big things like that. Where that's going fast, not in a good place. And anyway, so Marcy interviewed her. I mean, I was on a little bit just to, because it was my podcast, but Marcy's the one that had worked with and coached them, and, had them set up with the light therapy in the home, and using a light therapy cap, using 40 hertz music, that they can hear either through headphones or, in the environment, and the 40 hertz blinking bulb. Within 12 days, this woman was so dramatically, and using this twice a day in her own home for 20 minutes at a time. She was so dramatically different. And Bree, this was your referral, wasn't it?
It was my client's sister, yes.
That the sister called Marcy and said,
Yes.
"Oh my God, she's back. She's back. Like, she's functioning again." It's a work in progress, and she keeps getting better and better and better. But her husband's been able to, just within the course of a couple of months, her husband's back, is back at work. She can dress herself. She said, we went into a dress shop. He could actually sit in a chair, and he didn't have to help me pick out the dress. This stuff is life-changing. So I feel like, everything is in its divine timing. And I just feel like right now, after kind of almost innocently, oh, sorry to hit the mic, having that as one of our episodes, I mean, of course we wanted to have that, but I don't think I realized how impactful or important or timely that particular episode was going to be. So, and it's when one of our loved ones is in cognitive decline, or when it's ourselves, the fact that this finally something that actually can be done that doesn't cost $100,000 or $1 million, something you can do in your own house, that's amazing.
It is.
So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, just to sum it up a little, is there any one thing that you hope people take away from this talk or listening to this, from what you're saying, or your teachings, energy medicine, light therapy?
the lights only work when you use them.
Perfect. I love it.
We're working with the body's natural intelligence. The thing that makes photobiomodulation or light therapy, as in also what's used at Infrasculpt, or with our ped-based system or whatever. It's not magic. It's you put the lights on the body, and it's working with the body's own natural intelligence. So the body wants to be well. It knows how to get there, but it's just like anything else. You could have the most expensive car in the world, but if you don't put any gas in it, if it's a gas car, it's not going to go anywhere. Or if the battery's dead, ain't going anywhere. So with photobiomodulation, we're giving the body the information it needs to heal itself, which is every living organism, every cell of the body needs light to function properly. So, when people say, well, how does that work? Is that woo woo or that's not really science? Really? Really? Try being light deprived for a little while and just see how well you function. But on that note, and this is just because people don't know the research is there doesn't mean it's not there. There are at least 10 or 20,000 published studies on the benefits of photobiomodulation or low-level light therapy. So, but why it's working is because we are using the body's own intelligence to heal itself with a little intervention.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing. I mean, obviously, I work in the same field, so I see all these results, and I know the science behind it. Being a certified light therapist through your Lutz course, but often I think that the point that's missed is all of the not just the science part of it, is also the just trust the body and trust what's happening and accept the process. Once you understand that you can understand somewhat of the science and you feel somewhat convinced about it, that's half the battle, I think. And then, like you said, you have to be on the lights for them to work, right?
Yeah, I mean, put the lights on, turn the lights on, and let it do its thing. And if anybody ever doubts that the lights are doing anything, well, just watch your animals around your light system. So if you had lights, they want to come and get on the lights. Because why? They know. Look at a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. They'll like, I want the lights. You put them on their tummy, 2 minutes, 3 minutes or something, they run off. Why? Because a child knows, I'm done. That's good. My tummy doesn't hurt anymore. But there is really hardcore science to back up everything that I'm saying. What happens mostly, the mechanism of action, I'll kind of distinguish real quickly the difference between, let's say, the pad-based system that we're both using and the infrasculpt bars. With the infrasculpt bars, and I know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but just for our listening audience, the infrasculpt is body contouring, a 3-step process with body contouring. We're using very targeted wavelengths of to target the fat cell, make the cell wall more permeable, so the fat drains, the toxins drain, and so the fat that the brilliant body doesn't need to hold on to that fat because it's trying to protect us from those toxins. It can just go ahead and let it go. We're also using very targeted wavelengths of light to tone and tighten. Every time you have an infrasculpt session, you're getting all of that. You don't have to tell us, turn it on, turn it off. The only time I've ever turned off the fat ones is when my clients got to the place of, and I have a number of them, they don't want to lose any more weight. They have their body exactly how they want it. They just want to tone and tighten a little bit. So, but that's still infrasculpt is that part of infrasculpt. Step 1 is photobiomodulation. It is light therapy. It is releasing nitric oxide from our own blood. So the pads that we're using are also photobiomodulation, light therapy. They are, both things. We're flooding the system with light. The body's releasing nitric oxide in response. Nitric oxide is a gas, not nitrous oxide. That's the laughing gas. But and it's considered the miracle molecule of the body. So in the presence of nitric oxide, there are a ton of physiological processes that are supported. One is it increases circulation. It decreases pain and inflammation. It stimulates collagen production. It makes an unfriendly environment for pathogens. It supports the release of osteoblasts, so that's good for our bones, building bones or helping with cavities and things like that. So there's so many reasons we want the body to function better. And if we can increase the circulation, decrease the pain and the inflammation, and all these other wonderful physiological processes are being supported, why not? So both things, because that's a question I get asked a lot since I'm using both the pads and the bars when they're in an infrasculpt session. Even though we don't really have to use the pads, it's like, honey, I got you on my table anyway. I might as well help your sore knee or your toe or whatever because you're laying down anyway. Why wouldn't we do it if we can?
Exactly. Yeah, flood the body with light. And I mean, I talk a lot about the parasympathetic nerve and how we place the pad-based system, because they can lay on it, and all the nerve endings are also in the spine, so that travels through. And then the jawline and the face as well. It's very very effective.
Well, on that note, so the reason why we're switching them into parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, relax, meditate, sleep state, is because that's where we heal in that state, rather than fight, flight, or freeze, which is the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's fantastic. Well, so thank you so much for talking to us. And I would just like to say, how can we see more of you, listen to more, for people that are more interested to delve into light and energy medicine and all of that? How can we find you? You do have your podcast, that's letskeepitlight.com. And then
Yes.
what is the name of your book?
So listening and communicating with energy.
All right. Thank you so much, Ginger, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.